Hey, Shalom, all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Kakodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders, a great millstone that rule well through the scriptures. Peace to the 144,000 and the rest of the hopeful elect. I'm the brother Kaya from GMS Indianapolis. The other two branches in Indiana is GMS Gary and GMS Bloomington. And, yeah, this is a series we got going on out here in Indianapolis, entitled For Thy Violence Against Thy Brother Jacob, which we just go into the history of Esau Edom continuously harassing our people. All right. Jacob's name was changed to Israel. All right. And the various tribes make up who you know as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today. All right. So real quick, I'm going to get a scripture. All right. Because there's this idea that Esau Edom, the so-called white man, had us in slavery, and then he freed us out of slavery, and everything else as it pertains to us getting ahead in society, getting a fair shake, economy-wise. There's this notion that it's our fault, all right, and everything's equal and everything's fair. Well, that's not true. This is Daniel 7:25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High. Yeah, what race of people does that? All right. Who speaks against the Most High? The God of the Bible, that is. And shall wear out the saints of the Most High. Now, who are the saints of the Most High? The Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. And when you go into the history, like this series does, For Thy Violence Against Thy Brother Jacob, right? This particular series, it's constant. All right. When you go into let me hold that real quick. When you go into I think it's Ezekiel. Oh, it's Amos, yeah. Amos 1:11. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressors of Edom, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof. Because he did pursue his brother with the sword. Who was it? Who? Us, Jacob. Jacob and Esau was brothers. Jacob became the patriarch of so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, the 12 tribes. And Esau became the patriarch of the Edomites, Germans, your modern Germans, Russians, Belgium. Okay, the people operating in England and, you know, the Dutch and all of the current people, right? Now, Israelites are scattered amongst all people, but predominantly the race you know them to be today, those are, they technically go back to Esau Edom. All right. Because he did pursue his brother with the sword and did cast off all pity. So he's unmerciful. And his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. See, he kept his wrath forever. So he's constantly doing things. Now he'll use the media to undo and to manipulate and conceal. But there's always something that he's doing, whether it's an individual or whether it's the bulk of us in different regions. All right. You see what go on to Jake, what happened to Jake in different parts of the world, different parts of the country. You see what happened over there in one of those towns a couple months back. What was it? Mississippi, where they was just burying people in the back of the jail. Just burying them. Like, here it is, you got missing persons, people trying to find their family members, and they just buried them. Some of them they was killing. The police, that is. All right. So he kept his wrath forever. So it says, Daniel 7:25, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times, and the dividing of time. Right. So this man had the power. All right. When he came on the scene, during the Renaissance period, which Renaissance means rebirth. And what was the rebirth of? The rebirth of Edomite supremacy coming in the stead of the Roman Empire. So when they start working to get to the power, and then they get to where they where they couple hundred years later, because the Renaissance was around late 13, early 1400s, and it progressed on, and they consolidating power. They taking different people down. All right, and you fast forward, and now they can just speak against everything, change your culture. You know, they changing the culture of the people they come into contact with. They spreading white Jesus Christianity, and they telling you, they giving you the spirituality. They giving you the Bible and the vision and the attitude and the sentiment of the scriptures according to how they feel. That's speaking great words against the Most High. All right, so I want to look up wear out the saints. And they changing times and laws, certain things that were staples, regardless of who ruling. Is just certain things. Like I was talking to a guy today. He was like, well, we need water. We need air. So those are staples. All right. We can all agree, regardless who ruling, we need that. Everyone needs that to survive, but he destroys that. You know, everyone knows the family unit is the nucleus to a nation. He undoes and destroys that. You know. All right, so she'll wear out. Bala'a. It says to harass constantly. So it's constantly harassing. And then they got the movies. Go look up Mississippi Burning and Rosewood, and here it is, Jake, which Jake is an affectionate term for our people, Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. Here it is, minding our own good business. All right, and here they come burning down towns and burning down cities, and you know, just pure hatred. Okay, so let me pull this up. All right, now this is the racial history of the grandfather clause. I'm gonna read some of this article. Right, the term grandfathered has become part of the language. It's an easy way to describe individuals or companies who get to keep operating under an existing set of expectations when new rules are put in place. Now, after reading this article, I believe I misspoke on another video, because I said the grandfather clause was applied to slavery, where basically if your grandfather was a slave, then you would be a slave, which that's not how the clause works. But who knows? It could have applied that way as far as the first definition. The first thing I read, the term grandfather has become part of the language is an easy way to describe individuals or companies who get to keep operating under an existing set of expectations when new rules are put in place. So when a new rule was put in place, slavery hereby abolished, except on the penalty of a crime. Well, Esau could have used grandfather clauses for that. And we must understand, too, slavery didn't end immediately. Hell, we still in slavery now. We're just debt slaves and contractual slaves. All right? We just got a broader range. The plantation is much bigger. The world in captivity. All right, you need passports, you need all type of license. All right. So the plantation is just bigger. But when slavery was quote unquote ended, right? Emancipation Proclamation, what have you, it didn't end overnight. Okay. It didn't just end. It took years for it to end. Hell, it was people still in slavery in the 1940s and 50s. Even a little later than that. All right. Now it says, but like, I'm going to jump down. But like so many things, the term grandfather used in this way has its roots in America's racial history. It entered the lexicon not just because it suggests something old, but because of a specific set of 19th century laws regulating voting. All right. The 15th Amendment, which prohibited racial discrimination in voting, was ratified by the states in 1870. If you know your history, you'll realize that Israelites were nevertheless kept from voting in large numbers in southern states for nearly a century more. All right. Various states created requirements, literacy tests, and poll taxes, and constitutional quizzes that were designed to keep Israelites from registering to vote. But many poor Southern whites were at risk of also losing their rights because they could not have met such expectations. The solution: a half dozen states passed laws that made men eligible to vote if they had been able to vote before Israelites were given the franchise, generally 1867, or if they were the lineal descendants of voters back then. This was called the Grandfather Clause. Most such laws were enacted in the early 1890s. See, they didn't. Those laws they would enact would affect the poor whites, the poor Edomites. So then they was like, oh, okay, well, boom, the Grandfather Clause, right? And so now, here it is. They come up. Look, Isaiah 10 and 1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. Yeah, they create unrighteous decrees, which was resulting in grievousness for us. They're prescribing grievousness for us. And all the while leading you on to believe that everything is all fair and equal and pull yourself up by the bootstraps, which, by the way, pull yourself up by the bootstraps is supposed to be a euphemism, because it's impossible to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. So how are we supposed to get ahead when this devil, this demon is constantly rigging the race? All right. So let me grab something else. Psalms 94 and 20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee? Yeah, this kingdom is based off wickedness. It's a throne of iniquity, and it's not righteous. Which frameth mischief by a law. See how they construct this wickedness and deviousness through their legislation, and they haven't stopped doing it. They passed these bills and these laws. Why do you think they're 1,000 pages, 2,000 pages? Because somewhere on page 1,743, there's something that's infringing upon your rights, the little that you do get. On another page, 897, something else, and so on and so on and so forth. And it ain't written plainly the way I'm speaking in this lesson. No, it's written in legalese. All right. A regular dictionary won't be enough to help you to comprehend it. You'll need a special law dictionary. Okay. Which that's pure wickedness. All right. But protecting Edomites from restrictions meant to apply to Israelites was obviously another form of discrimination itself, right? Let me see. Israelites typically lack the financial resources to file suit. The NAACP, founded in 1909, which the NAACP was founded by Edomites. That was founded by the enemy. See, Esau that's when his wisdom was working more. See, his wisdom is failing him now. See, but at that time, his wisdom was working. See, people didn't know the NAACP which that's another For Thy Violence Against Thy Brother Jacob episode, potentially. Because the NAACP, if I'm not mistaken, the originator was a guy by the name of Medgar Evers. But guess what happened? He was killed. You notice anybody who was killed or destroyed in the media, 9.5 times out of 10, they was going they wasn't selling out. I say that. I'm not gonna say they was going in the right direction, because the right direction is towards Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. But they had their good sense working with them, and they had affection for their people. All right, to help them properly. Yeah, so the NAACP is basically a way for Esau Edom to monitor and restrict Jake under the guise of helping. Because even when you go to the NAACP, I don't know if it said now, but at one point it said to get rid of the patriarchy. And what's the patriarchy? Pater, P-A-T-R, that prefix mean male. Father, it means father, actually. Patriarch, patrician, all right, paternal, all right. So you see what happened to the so-called black community when the father left the home. With that being said, the NAACP is basically an institution to further the destruction of so-called Negroes. All right. The Latinos and Native Americans, because it said colored people, quote unquote. Anyway, it says, of the more than 55,000 Israelites who were in Oklahoma in 1900, only 57 came from states that had permitted Israelites to vote in 1867. Okay. In 1915, the Supreme Court ruled unanimously in Gwynn versus United States that grandfather clauses were unconstitutional. The court in those days upheld any number of segregationist laws, and even in Gwynn specified that literacy tests were untethered. Literacy tests untethered from grandfather clauses were okay. And then when you go down, who's going to enforce these things? The clerk. So just because they was passing some of these things, it's still business as usual. You got Jake could say, well, it's 2024, things different. Police brutality is still a thing. You got these guys, I forget what they call, but they basically check to see if police doing their job and check to see if they upholding the law, and they know the law, and they go back and forth. Man, they don't, you can see in those exchanges, the law is not upheld and enforced, man. All right. Okay, let me see. Look, the decision had almost, let me see, did I read that? The justices were concerned that the grandfather clause was not only discriminatory, but a clear attempt by a state to nullify the federal constitution. It was so obvious an evasion that the Supreme Court could not have failed to declare it unconstitutional, the Washington Post wrote at the time. The decision had almost no effect, however, see? Because the people, as it trickled down to the governors, to the states, to the mayors, to the county clerk, and to the various different other people who hold those various offices to enforce it, they're not going to enforce it. That's why you had those other divisions, internal affairs and IRS, and to audit those people and to monitor them. It's just all one big farce, man, for real. It says the Oklahoma legislature met in special session to grandfather in the grandfather clause. The new law said those who had been registered in 1914, whites under the old system, will automatically register to vote, while Israelites could only register between April 30th and May 11, 1916, or forever be disenfranchised. That law stayed on the books until a Supreme Court ruling in 1939. So from the 1860s to the 1939. And that's just on the books. We still got to remember, when was it? Just because something was passed, that don't mean it was enforced. All right. Look, in that era, most Israelites voted Republican, the party of Abraham Lincoln. And ain't that ironic, right? How our people went from Republican to Democrat, and the Democrat basically, you see what the Democratic Party has done, right? You see what our people was when they was Republican, so-called. See what happened when they was Democrat. Democrats just destroyed the moral fabric of our people. See, we have a close attachment to this book, and through democratic policies, all they do is further separate us from this attachment we got with our power. That's why the scripture says what? The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduces him. Yeah, our people get seduced by these alternative lifestyles and alternative contrary things to the Bible, to things against our nature, you know. Let me see. That's it. I think that was enough. Lord willing, it was edifying. Barakatah Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh. Yeah, so this was another episode for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, the grandfather clause. Shalom.